Hello, and welcome to Shane's Microscope. I'm Shane, and this is my microscope. Let's take a peek. Today's sample comes to us from my cat. Also my face, but collecting hairs from the cat is a lot cuter. Anyhow, I grabbed a couple of hairs from each of us and put them on a slide. The reason that I'm using water is twofold. One is to make sure that the hairs can't blow around to sort of hold things in place. And the other reason is that the optical system expects there to be some sort of mounting medium, and water works just fine for that. So last time we looked at head hairs, and this time we're looking at one of my eyelash hairs. You can immediately notice that it's a lot darker than my head hair, and since I don't trim my eyelashes, that it naturally tapers to a point. The medulla is the inmost part of the hair. In fact, that's only present in thick hairs such as this. Most European head hairs and the thin hairs covering your body lack a medulla. I thought that was a fascinating little tidbit. And then the next part out is the cortex, and that's the part of the hair that contains the melanin grains that give the hair its color. And then the outermost layer of the hair is the cuticle. That's the colorless, scaly looking part that protects the rest of the hair. I think it's really interesting how the pigmentation really sort of peters out as you get near the end of the hair, and how the ends of them are pretty much perfectly clear. Now we're looking at one of my nose hairs. You can see that it shares a lot more in common with my eyelash than it does with my head, and this also has a really defined opaque medulla in there that peters out until it gets to a clear section. And it is super narrow by the time it gets to the end. You can really see that fibrous structure of the keratin in there, and changing the focus really lets us bring into view different depths of the hair. I think it's interesting that these two hairs that are no closer together or further apart than either is from my head hair are so similar to each other, but so different from the head hair. And look at that little thing. Oh, that's looks like a couple pieces of glass floating around in the water here. I must have chipped the slide at some point while I was using the tweezers. And this is one of the cat hairs. And I think it's really interesting, again, that this hair shares so much in common with my nose hair and my eyelash, and it's so different from my head hair. I mean, you can tell that this hair really has a very large, very opaque medulla. Slightly smaller bulb than any of the human hairs that we've looked at so far, though. I wonder what causes that colored medulla to start so far away from the bulb. You know, I would kind of think that maybe that would be consistent all the way back to the bulb, but maybe it's in a follicle up to the point where it gets that pigmentation. I don't really know for sure. And look at just how narrow that cat hair gets at the end. Interesting. Well, I thought that was neat, and I think we'll leave it there for the day. Thanks for having a look with me. Until next time, keep on peeking.